Lecture 4, Financial Accounting Research Tool. In this lecture, we're going to go through the 5-step research process. We're going to focus on the Financial Accounting Standard Board, the FASB Accounting Standard Codification. So we're going to learn how to use the codification to do accounting research. In addition, we're going to go through some of the major SEC pronouncements and also talk about how to use the SEC ADAGA database to find the information you want. So how do we use database to do accounting research? First, we're going to define information needed. We need to identify the preliminary information according to the specific research project needs. So the more specific needs we identify, right, the more efficient we can perform the research. Right, for example, if we want to research what kind of accounting standard we need to apply, so we're going to go to the FASB accounting codification, the database. Right, that relates to the second step, determining the sources to search. Right, the FASB accounting standard codification is one of the sources if we want to find the accounting rules. We may also have accounting rules from other sources, like the SEC pronouncement. So there's so many sources, so what's the criteria to select database? Right, here are some criteria: reliability, accuracy, and objectivity of the information. Those are the typical standards for us to pick database. Next, how to search. Right, we have various search methods, including using keywords to search. We can just drill down a table of contents, or use index, and use citation retrieval. Next is view results and manage the information. If we have a subscription of certain database, we can view both external and internal documents. Right, many firms maintain their own research files for various accounting auditing issues. So if we can view those internal files, we can easily see, what kind of conclusions firm has reached on a previous research issue. And it's always a good habit to document all research activities when we conduct the research. And finally, we're going to communicate the research results, usually via a memo to the client. Always cite sources of data and information accurately. Right, let's go to the codification. So starting from September 15, 2009, the codification is a single source of authoritative non-governmental US GAAP. The codification has included, most of the FASB pronouncement, also together with the ACCT pronouncement and many other things into single place. All other accounting literature not included in the codification now is non-authoritative. Right, the codification now is free. It's available at the FASB website. So we're going to take a look very soon. Alright, so I'll quickly go through these. The codification is organized into topics. We have various topics. And it also includes a master glossary where you can check the definition easily. And there are certain limited SEC content available. So it will be recognized with a S. Proceed the section number. Alright, so what are those topics? We have general principles, We have topics related to presentation and topics related to various accounts, including assets, liability, equity, revenue, expenses. We also have topics for broad transactions and then industries specific topics. Right, the topic areas are further refined into subtopics. For example, 450, that's a topic area for contingencies, and it has subtopics. 450.10, it's overall. Right, 450.20, that's loss contingencies. 450.30, that's gain contingencies. Subtopics further refined into sections. Right, 450.20.25, right, it's loss contingencies recognition. Right, and sections is further divided into subsections, right, by using different paragraphs. Right, that's a basic structure of the codification. Right, so let's go to the FASB codification at the FASB web pages. Here what you can see, right, we're gonna verify I'm not robot and access. Right, you're gonna license agreement. You're gonna sign the license agreement, selecting accept. Right, on this page you're gonna see its introduction, what is codification and how to use it. And on this left-hand side we have a link to those topic areas: the general principles, presentation, and elements of the report, broad transactions, industries. And we have a link to master glossary. Right, we have several ways to search the information we need. First, if you know the exact code, we can use this go to. Remember the 450, that's contingencies, and 450.10, that's let's go to 450.10. Right, that's contingencies. With a subtopic, that's overall. Alright, let me click the 05, which is the section, overview, and background. Right, as you can see, this is an overview. Contingency topic include the following subtopic of overall, loss, and gain. Okay, and right, 450.20, that's loss contingencies, and 450.30, that's gain contingencies. Right, and you can read, that's overviews. All right, so if you want to go further, you can select those topics, go further. Oh, that's the first way to find information when we know the code. Right, usually we don't know the code, so we can use those topic areas to find the specific information we want. So we know contingency is part of the liabilities. Okay, if we click liabilities, right, so you can easily see different kind of liability topics. Right, the general liabilities and the specific liabilities. Now we can find 450, that's contingencies, is one of the liabilities. If I click contingencies, right, and if I want to understand loss contingencies, right, so it's everything about loss contingencies. We have subsections, and you can click show all everything in one page, and here I'm going to click show everything in one page about loss contingencies. And here we have, so we have all loss contingencies content shown in one page. Right, and I'm going to find out some information. Could pull down the it's everything about loss contingencies. So I'm curious about recognition, so I find the section for recognition. So that's 45, right, 20, 25. Find out recognitions. Right, so the general rules for recognitions. So you can read when a loss contingency exists, the likelihood, right, you can read everything. So that's going to give you that's accounting rules for loss contingencies recognition. Right, that's a second way to find the rules. Third way is through the search function. Okay, we're going to type keywords to find. So it's gonna give all the paragraph containing the keywords. For example, I want something gain contingency. Right, so it's give me all paragraph containing the gain contingencies, those keywords. Right, as you can see, because it extract information from the whole codification database. But most of the results coming from 450.10, right, overview 450.30, right? But it also get information from other places like right, ACCT, 470, and many other places. So yeah, the search function is a double-edged sword. It's convenient, but it's in other side you're gonna filter out a lot of very relevant information, but not the primary focus of your research. And then finally, if you just want to know the definition of a accounting term, you can go to the MAST glossary, right? Right, for example, we here put C and want what is cash equivalence, and here the definition of cash equivalence. And if you are interested, you can go through the those, right? What cash equivalence has been covered? Cash equivalence, this topic's covered to 10 to 30, and those are the topics that covers cash equivalence. All right. A brief research questions. How should we handle, or recognize legal fees, right, incurred to a debtor in a troubled debt restructurings? When they have a troubled debt restructure, right, they incur legal fees. And how do they record legal fees? Right, if you know the specific topics, you can go through these topics directly, but usually we don't, right? We don't know the topic. And here I can use a keyword search. Okay, legal fees is what I'm interested, and I'm also interested in the debt restructure. Okay, I'm going to show all results. So I can easily see that right, this result contains both legal fees and debt restructuring. So very likely it's the one we want. So I'm going to click subsequent measurement. Okay, it's this is for the topic debt, and in the last subsection, we have legal fees and other direct costs that are debt incurred, right, in a troubled debt restructuring shall reduce the amount otherwise recorded for that equity interest. So that we're going to reduce the equity interest granted to creditors, right, and all other direct costs, right, is going to be deducted in measuring gains on restructurings or payables, or shall be included in expense of the period if no gain on restructuring is recognized. All right. So how do we conduct case studies? Okay, we're going to assign first case studies for these topics. Case study examples. Instructions, we're going to read this case and carefully and then identify the problems using the FASB codifications to answer the problem correctly. Right, so let's see what is the example. Example. Right, this Meet Models. Meet Models purchases automobile for its new car inventories from the GM, which finances these transactions through its financial subsidiary, right? Call this GMCC. Right, the Meet pays no funds to GM or GMCC until it sells the automobile. Meet must then repay the balance of the loan plus interest to GMCC. So how should Meet report the acquisition and repayment transactions in its statement of cash flows? Right, I know you can answer these questions easily, but those are not authoritative, right? We learn those from the textbook. So what is authoritative, right? Resources. Okay, that's a codification. So we're going to go through the codification to find the answer. But before we do that, we're going to go through the specific procedure for writing the research memo. Right, first I'm going to retype or summarize the facts. Okay, they look like very similar, but it can reorganize the structures, try to reduce the paragraph. So the facts is right the same, very similar. That rather Meet right purchase, but without paying, and it's gonna pay after it sells those vehicles. Right, next we're gonna identify the issue. What's the issue? What's the question we need to answer? How should Meet Models report transactions, right, with GM and GMCC in the statement of cash flows? All right, so it's financed purchase. How do we report that on the cash flow statement? So if you know the topics, cash flow statement, you can go through the presentation, right? The cash flow statement, statement of cash flows to find the literature, all the rules you want. But we can also search. Likely we can narrow down by typing the keywords non-cash purchase, right? The statement of cash flow. Let's see what it will give us. Okay, most relevant one, right? The top one, the presentation statement cash flow overview disclosure. Okay, so let's see what it. Right, it's this one. Right, some transactions are part cash and part non-cash. Only the cash portion shall be reported in the statement cash flows. Right, in this case, the company Meet does not pay when they purchase those inventories they financed. Right, so it's not reported in the statement cash flows. Right, so here I'm gonna start to write the reasoning, or you can name it literature or reasoning. But basically, this is a place we're gonna put all the evidence we find. The reasoning, right? This is a reporting issues related to cash flow statement, right? Then we say Meet does not have cash transactions. So according to paragraph, right? 230.10.55 of the Financial Accounting Standard Board, Accounting Standard Codifications. When you first write, you have to write the full name. Later, you can use FASB and ASC, right? But for the first time, you have to write full name. Only the cash portion shall be reported in the statement of cash flows, right? So basically, we find the results to answer the first questions, but that's not the end. Okay, if it's not reported cash flow statement, so what should we do? So let me go back to the literature we find. Right? It suggests that you read all these related part. But if you read this 230.10.53, information about all investing and financing activities of an equity during a period that affect recognized assets or liabilities, but that do not result in cash received or cash payments in the period shall be disclosed. So if it's a major financing contract we sign with GMCC, okay, it will be disclosed. Alright, let me continue with the reasoning. The non-cash transaction shall be disclosed narratively or in a schedule per, right, accounting standard codification. Next, we try to answer how should meat models report transactions with GMCC. Remember, when it sells those vehicles, it has to repay the principal and the interest. And how do we report those payments in a statement of cash flows? So basically, how do we record interest payment and repayment of the principal, either in the operating activities or financing activities, right? We've been taught to do those things by the textbook, but where do we find the authoritative rules? All right, so we can go to the statement of cash flows and show everything in one pages. If you know, you can check these operating activities and the financing activities directly. And here we have cash flow from the financing activities. All the following are cash flows from financing activities. Those are cash inflows, financing activities. All the following are cash outflows for financing activities. And if you read it carefully, A, B, C, D, right here, B, repayments of amount borrowed, including a portion of the repayments made to, right? So repayment of amounts borrowed, it's financing outflow. Or you can also search keywords repayment, right? If you search repayment, very likely it's gonna give you a quick, gonna lead you quickly to this 230.10.45.15, right? Paragraph B, it's gonna give you this answer. And so we know if you search interest, right, all the following are cash outflows for operating activities, right? Cash payments, right, for interest is operating activities, outflows. Right, that's 230.10.45.17D. All right, so I'm going to write those in my research report memo. All right, so right after meet sales inventories, repays loan plus interest to GMCC according to these rules. Cash payments for interest is reported in cash flow. Operating activities, right, and repayment is reported as a financing activities according to these rules. Right, so basically I have used the codification to answer these questions. So finally, I'm going to add a conclusion into my research memo. Right, conclusion. Per ACCT 2010-53, right, and 230.10.55, right? It should disclose but not record the non-cash inventory purchase from GM in the statement cash flows. However, per these two rules, right, it should report a cash payment to GMCC, right, in both the operating cash flows and the financing cash flows for interest and the principal repayment specifically. Right, so that is a typical research memo, and this is what is expected for your case study assignment. Right, so that's example of the FASB codification research case. As you can see, better to have some knowledge of accounting before you can do the research. Otherwise, it's going to be tough, right? By just typing the keywords, you may not find the correct place. But if you know what about basic structure of the transactions, if you know the basic treatment, it's much easier for you to identify the literature. And sometimes you may find answer from multiple sources, right? And you're going to identify the primary one and maybe a secondary one as a supporting evidence. Right, next, let's talk about FCC accountings.